Hello everyone, this is your channel Physics with Shomita and I am Shomita Gupta Roy, and today we are going to study about extrinsic semiconductor. But before you study about extrinsic semiconductor, you should know about intrinsic semiconductor, and if you do not know, you can visit my channel Physics with Shomita Intrinsic Semiconductor, where it has been explained in detailed manner what is intrinsic semiconductor. So let us begin. Now, why do we need extrinsic semiconductor? Extrinsic semiconductor means adding impurity to intrinsic semiconductor in a controlled manner to make it impure semiconductor, which is also called extrinsic semiconductor. So, adding of impurity atoms to intrinsic semiconductor in a controlled manner to make it impure or extrinsic or doped semiconductor. Okay, so first point is, why do we need an extrinsic semiconductor? The conductivity of intrinsic semiconductor is very poor. At room temperature, that is 300 Kelvin or 27 degrees centigrade, okay, where it provides an energy of nearly equal to kT, where K is the Boltzmann constant. It provides an energy of 0.025 electron volt. So at a room temperature where it provides an energy of this much, only one covalent bond breaks out of 10 to the power 9 atoms. One covalent bond breaks and generate a thermally excited electron which is available for conduction. So one atom out of 10 to the power 9 atoms are available for conduction. Okay, one atom out of 10 to the power 9 atoms, like where you are having silicon atoms, many silicon atoms, crores and crores of silicon atoms, which will make a silicon crystal. So the silicon atoms you are having, I'm talking about intrinsic semiconductor now. Each silicon atom will have 4 valence electrons in its outermost shell. Each silicon atom will have 4 valence electrons in its outermost shell. And each valence electron will form covalent bond with neighboring silicon atoms. Each valence electron will form covalent bond with neighboring silicon atoms. Okay. So at room temperature like this, there can be 10 to the power 29 silicon atoms, or maybe even more than that. There are crores and crores. So one atom out of 10 to the power 9 atoms is available for conduction, means at room temperature one covalent bond breaks and generate a thermally excited electron in the conduction band, which moves to the conduction band, okay, which is available for conduction. So one atom in 10 to the power 9 atoms are available for conduction, or one covalent bond breaks and creates a thermally excited electron which is available for conduction. So you can understand the ratio. So the conductivity of a pure semiconductor or intrinsic semiconductor is very poor. It is of no practical use. An intrinsic semiconductor is of no practical use. So what we can do? We can add a small pentavalent impurity or trivalent impurity into a pure tetravalent semiconductor. Like there are other impurities as well. Okay, so if we are adding pentavalent or trivalent impurities, then it has to be a tetravalent semiconductor. Okay, so there are other types of semiconductors as well. So we are adding, by adding pentavalent, means an atom having 5 valence electrons, pentavalent or trivalent, depending upon what kind of semiconductor we want to make. So adding pentavalent or trivalent impurity to an intrinsic semiconductor, we can increase the conductivity of the semiconductor. The conductivity of the semiconductor can be increased. Conductivity. This is conductivity. So what we are doing, we are adding pentavalent or trivalent impurity to an intrinsic semiconductor to increase the conductivity of the semiconductor. Okay. So now how it is increased? Now one impurity atom added to every 10 to the power 8 germanium or silicon atoms increases the conductivity 16 times. Okay. So one impurity atom added to every 10 to the power 8 germanium or silicon atoms increases one impurity atom added to every 10 to the power 8 germanium or silicon atoms increases the conductivity 16 times. So you can understand, for every 10 to the power 8 germanium or silicon atom, one impurity atom if you add, then the conductivity is increasing 16 times. Okay. So now such impure semiconductors are called extrinsic or doped semiconductor. Okay, when you add impurity to the germanium or silicon atoms, okay, or in a germanium or silicon crystal, you add one impurity atom, and not one impurity atom you are going to add to a germanium or silicon crystal. The ratio in which you will add is 1:10 to the power 8. 1:10 to the power 8. Okay, now there are not 10 to the power 8 atoms in a crystal, there are millions and millions and millions of atoms in a crystal. So you are adding many impurity atom in the crystal. So the semiconductor becomes an impure semiconductor, and such impure semiconductor is called extrinsic semiconductor or doped semiconductor or doped semiconductor. Okay. Now, what do you mean by doping? What do you mean by doping? Doping means the process of adding doping. What do you mean by the term doping? Doping means the process of adding impurity to an intrinsic semiconductor in a controlled manner. Okay, the process of adding impurity to an intrinsic semiconductor in a controlled manner is called doping. And the impurity atoms are called dopant. Impurity atoms are called dopants. Okay, the impurity atoms are called dopants. Okay, and the process of adding impurity to an intrinsic semiconductor is in a controlled manner is called doping. Okay, and by doping, by adding impurity to an intrinsic semiconductor in a controlled manner, the conductivity of the semiconductor increases significantly. It significantly increases the conductivity of the semiconductor. Now, process of doping, there are two processes of doping, or there are another is there, but I am doing only two processes. One is by adding the impurity atoms to the molten semiconductor, adding impurity atoms to molten semiconductor, impurity atoms or the dopants to molten semiconductor, and then the semiconductor crystallizes along with the impurity atoms. Okay, you are adding the impurity atoms to the molten semiconductor, and the semiconductor crystallizes, it solidifies along with the impurity atoms. Okay, another process is to bombard the semiconductor with impurity atoms. Okay, so here is the semiconductor crystal. You are bombarding the semiconductor with impurity atoms so that the atom gets stuck inside the crystal. It replaces an atom of the semiconductor. Suppose this is a silicon crystal, so you bombard it with, say, you are bombarding it with, say, phosphorus. So this phosphorus atom will go and stuck in the silicon crystal, and it will replace a silicon atom. It will replace a silicon atom. One silicon atom will get replaced, and the phosphorus atom will go and stuck here. Okay, in the semiconductor. So bombarding the semiconductor with impurity atoms. So these are the two processes of doping. Now coming to extrinsic semiconductor, they are of two types, N-type semiconductor and P-type semiconductor. So first we are going to do N-type semiconductor. Now N-type semiconductor we can achieve by adding pentavalent impurity atoms to the intrinsic semiconductor to make it an extrinsic N-type semiconductor by adding pentavalent impurity atom. Pentavalent impurity means atoms of group 5 elements. Atoms of group 5 elements. They are pentavalent. So what atoms we are using? Phosphorus, okay, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. We can add this. Okay. Now, when a pentavalent impurity atom is added, to germanium or silicon crystal, it replaces, as I have told you, it replaces the silicon or germanium atom in the crystal. Okay. So when this pentavalent impurity atom is added to the crystal, it replaces a silicon atom in the crystal. Okay, that is the first point. The second point goes like this, that now this is a pentavalent atom, right? So it has got 5 valence electrons. So let us write the electronic configuration for phosphorus. Or let us take it to the next page. We are writing the electronic configuration of first silicon. Silicon, the atomic number is 14. The electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p2. So how many? 2 to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14. 14. Okay. Phosphorus, the atomic number is 15. Okay. So the electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p3. Okay. So here in silicon there are 4 valence electrons in the outermost third shell. In phosphorus there are 5 valence electrons in the outermost third shell. Okay. Now if you add one phosphorus atom in 10 to the power 8 silicon atom, so what it will do? There are many phosphorus atoms which will be added. So let us see. Suppose this is a phosphorus atom. It actually has 5 valence electrons. I'll draw that. And these are the silicon atoms. Okay, and there are many other silicon atoms. So what actually is happening is this, that they form covalent bond. The 4 valence electrons Each of the valence electron of the phosphorus atom form each of the 4 valence electron. Can you see phosphorus will have 5 valence electron, right? In the third outermost shell, it has 5 valence electron. So each of the 4 valence electrons of the phosphorus will form covalent bond with neighboring 4 silicon atoms. With the neighboring 4 silicon atoms, each of the 4 valence electron will form covalent bond. Let us make the covalent bond. Okay, the fifth valence electron will be free. It is not actually free, but there is the fifth valence electron, right? This is the fifth electron of the phosphorus. This is the fifth valence electron of the phosphorus, which is loosely bound to the nucleus of the phosphorus. It is not actually free. It is loosely bound to the nucleus of the phosphorus. Okay, but the ionization energy, what do you mean by ionization energy? The energy required to free the valence electron from the atom. Okay, the energy required to free an electron from the outermost shell of an atom is the ionization energy. So the ionization energy required to free this fifth valence electron from its outermost shell of phosphorus, is 0.01 electron volt for germanium and 0.05 electron volt for silicon. Okay, the ionization energy, that is the very little amount of energy is required to free this fifth valence electron from the outermost shell of the phosphorus. This fifth valence electron is attached, loosely bound to the nucleus of the phosphorus. Okay, loosely bound because it is in the outermost shell. But it can be made free. A very little amount of energy is required. And this amount of energy can be provided at room temperature. At room temperature, the energy is 0.025 eV. So this amount of energy can be provided at room temperature. This is in contrast to the intrinsic semiconductor. In intrinsic semiconductor, if you remember, the covalent bond, to break the covalent bond, and at room temperature for the electron to get thermally excited to the conduction band, or for an electron to become available for conduction, it has to jump. Electron has to jump a forbidden energy gap of how much? Of 0.72 electron volt for germanium and 1.1 electron volt for silicon. So this was huge. This was huge for intrinsic semiconductor. At room temperature, therefore, only a few covalent bonds, 1 in 10 to the power 9 atoms is available for conduction. One covalent bond breaks in 10 to the power 9 atoms. Because this was a huge, forbidden energy gap was huge. At room temperature, only one covalent bond can break. But here, at room temperature, this electron becomes available for conduction. This is not thermally excited electron. Remember, this electron is provided by the impurity atom. This fifth electron is not thermally excited, whereas this intrinsic semiconductor electron has to jump a forbidden energy gap of this much. These are thermally excited electrons. Okay, these are thermally excited electrons. When an electron has to jump a forbidden energy gap of this much for germanium and 1.1 eV for silicon, okay, to become available for conduction, this electron will move from the valence band to the conduction band and become available for conduction. Means it will break the covalent bond and it will I'm talking about intrinsic semiconductor. It will break the covalent bond and it is thermally excited or thermally generated electron available for conduction. Thermally excited means at room temperature you have increased the temperature and you have excited the electron. Okay, so you have broken the covalent bond, excited the electron, so it is thermally generated electron. But this is not thermally generated electron. This is available by the impurity atom. The impurity atom is, so even at room temperature, of course at room temperature, this becomes free. This electron becomes free and available for conduction. Now, by adding, so you can see by adding pentavalent atom to pure germanium, like pentavalent atom like phosphorus to pure germanium or silicon crystal, the number of free electrons in the crystal increases. Okay, that is the conductivity of the crystal increases. So you can write here what will be the point number. I haven't written any point. So by adding pentavalent impurity atom, the number of free electrons in the crystal increases by adding pentavalent atom. In the crystal increases. Okay, in the crystal, that is the conductivity of the crystal. Number of free electrons increases means the free electrons are the charge carriers. So the conductivity increases. Conductivity increases. Number of free electrons increases means the conductivity of the crystal increases. Okay. Now the pure germanium or silicon crystal is N-type. Why N-type? Because it has an excess of negative charge carriers, that is electrons. Electrons are the negative charge carriers. So this is by the crystal, the impure germanium or silicon crystal is N-type. The impure germanium or silicon, whichever you are doping, crystal is called N-type. N-type semiconductor because it has an excess of negative charge carriers. That is electrons, free electrons. Okay. The impurity atoms, this is the impurity germanium, impure germanium or silicon crystal. It is the N-type semiconductor because it is having, this is an N-type semiconductor. When you add pentavalent impurity atom to a pure semiconductor, the semiconductor becomes N-type semiconductor because there is an excess of impure, because you are not adding one impurity atom. Try to understand, you are not adding one impurity atom to a semiconductor crystal. You have n number of impurity atoms to the semiconductor crystal. So there are many free electrons. So the free electrons, there is an excess of free electrons in the crystal. So since the free electrons are negative charge carriers, it is called N-type semiconductor. Okay. The impurity atoms are called donor atoms. The impurity atoms, the impurity pentavalent atoms, impurity pentavalent atoms, they are called donor atoms. Why are they called donor atoms? Because they donate the conducting electrons to the crystal. Okay. They donate the conducting electrons to the crystal. That's why they are called donor atoms. They are donating free electrons to the crystal. They are donating free electrons to the crystal. So they are called donor atoms. Okay. Now, A n-type semiconductor, it is an n-type semiconductor, does not mean it is negatively charged. It has an excess of negative charge carriers. Does not mean that the n-type semiconductor is, you can ask that it has an excess of negative charge carriers. So, why not it is negatively charged? If the number of electrons are more than the number of holes, why not they are negatively charged? So an n-type semiconductor is uncharged. I'll tell you why is uncharged. Why? Because for every fifth free electron created or free electron in the crystal, for every fifth electron becoming free to move around in the crystal, this phosphorus impurity pentavalent atom becomes a positively charged impurity ion. Okay, if you take from phosphorus, if you take one electron, then it will become a phosphorus ion. Right? It will become an ion, positively charged ion. So this phosphorus is losing its one electron in the crystal, where it is free to roam about in the crystal and is available for conduction. This is becoming a positively charged ion. For every phosphorus atom losing an electron, fifth valence electron in the crystal, or for every fifth free electron in the crystal, there is a positively charged phosphorus ion. There is a positively charged impurity ion. This is the impurity ion, right? Donor ions. Donor ion. These are the donor atoms, and then they become donor ions. Because they are giving out one electron, so it will become positively charged donor ion or impurity ion. This is the impurity. The phosphorus is the impurity atom, right? In the crystal, the phosphorus is the impurity atom. So for every fifth electron, so you may write it down, for every fifth electron, every fifth free electron in the crystal, there is a positively charged donor ion or impurity ion. In the crystal. Thereby, the crystal is, for every electron there is a positively charged ion. So the crystal is neutral. So n-type semiconductor is uncharged. The n-type semiconductor is a neutral, does not carry any charge. Okay, so there are n number of phosphorus atoms. There are n number of phosphorus atoms. Each phosphorus atom will give out the fifth electron in the crystal, thereby becoming a positive ion. Okay, so for every fifth electron given out in the crystal, the phosphorus atom becomes positive ion. The donor atom becomes a positively charged ion. Okay, so positive, negative, it cancels out, thereby keeping the crystal neutral or uncharged. Okay, now how Ne, will come to this. Ne is the number of electrons per unit volume in the conduction band. Number of electrons per unit volume in the conduction band. Okay, or electron concentration. You can also call it electron concentration. So it consists of the number of free electrons per unit volume in conduction band, It consists of two parts. It is generated by two ways actually, not consist of two, it is generated. This number of free electrons per unit volume in conduction band means those free electrons which are available for conduction. They are generated in two ways. One is due to electrons contributed by donors, Okay. Okay, what are the donors? This phosphorus atom is a donor atom. So the electron contributed by this donor atom. Okay. So this depends upon the doping level. Depends upon doping level. How much it is doped. Okay, more it is doped, more will be the number of the electrons contributed by the donors. And is independent of ambient temperature. Independent of ambient temperature. It only depends upon the donor atoms. The doping level, doping level, how much it is doped, and is independent of the ambient temperature. So due to electron contributed by the donors, free electrons contributed by the donors, and another due to or generated intrinsically. What do you mean by generated intrinsically? It means due to break of covalent bonds. How the electron hole pairs are generated. How the electrons, by breaking of covalent bond, how the thermally excited electrons are generated. Okay, generated intrinsically. That is by breaking covalent bonds. Thermally excited electrons. Thermally excited electrons generated, creating an equal number of holes. This is the case of intrinsic semiconductor. When you bring the intrinsic semiconductor to room temperature, a covalent bond breaks and electron become thermally excited, available for conduction and creating a hole in the valence band. Creating a hole. If an electron becomes free, just as I have shown you, sorry, the camera has stopped working. Just as I have shown you in the first diagram, that when the one covalent bond breaks at room temperature, this is an intrinsic semiconductor, silicon crystal. One covalent bond breaks at room temperature to create a thermally excited electron. This is the thermally excited electron, thus creating a hole over here. So one electron will create one hole. Okay, when one electron available for conduction will create one hole. So electron hole pairs will be same when the electron is generated intrinsically, that is in an intrinsic semiconductor at room temperature. By break of covalent bond, a thermally excited electron is created. Thermally excited means by heat at room temperature. When you are heating the semiconductor and bringing it to room temperature, a thermally excited electron is created, thus creating a hole over here, a hole over here. So the number of electrons created like this, thermally excited electrons created, will be equal to the number of holes generated. Okay, by break of covalent bond. Okay, that is quite different than the electron contributed by donors. Here the electron is not generated by break of covalent bonds, mind it. Here the electron is contributed by the donor. The fifth electron is contributed by the donor. While it cannot form a covalent bond with the neighboring atoms, it is free to move in the lattice, crystal lattice. Okay. So here, this ratio is 9:1. If 9 electrons are contributed by the donors, then 1 electron will become free as a thermally excited electron available for conduction. So the ratio is 9:1. Okay, so here you see, if 9, what I wanted to say, if 9 electron is available, is contributed by the donors, then 1 electron is intrinsically generated. Okay, creating an equal number of hole. So creating an equal number of hole means NH, the number of hole per unit volume available in the valence band. What is NH? Number of holes per unit volume in the valence band. That is also equal to 1. Okay, because this intrinsically generated or by breaking of covalent bond thermally excited electron generated will create an equal number of holes as I have shown you. So NH, if Ne is equal to 1, this thermally excited electron is equal to 1, then the holes created in the valence band will also be equal to 1. So Ne, the number of electrons, is much greater than the number of holes. And the number of electrons is nearly equal to the number of donor atoms, you can say. Okay, the number of donor atoms, the number of electrons, the electron concentration is nearly equal to the number of donor atoms. Okay, because it is mainly due to the donor atoms. The main number of electrons is due to the donor atom. Only one is created. It's 9:1. Only one is created, or 90% and 10%. Okay, 10% is created due to thermally excited electrons by breaking of covalent bond, and 90% is created by the contributed by the donor impurity atom. So Na is very greater than NH. So the electrons are the majority charge carriers. The majority charge carriers are electrons in N-type semiconductor. Are electrons, and minority charge carriers are the holes. In N-type are holes. Okay, electrons are the majority charge carriers and holes are the minority charge carriers. Now if you have to make the band diagram, this is the conduction band, this is the valence band, this is the forbidden energy gap, a gap of 1.1 electron volt for silicon and 0.72 electron volt for germanium. Okay, first the electrons are there in the valence band. The electrons are in the valence band. Okay, now for an N-type semiconductor, there is a donor level below the conduction band. This is conduction band, this is valence band. And there is a donor level. I denote the energy of the donor level, I denote with ED. Okay, there is a donor level close to the conduction band. Just below the conduction band, there is the donor level. What is this donor level means? The donor level means there is the donor atoms, the energy of the donor atoms. Okay, energy of the donor atoms. So the electrons can easily jump from the donor level, or the donor atoms reside in this level. The donor atoms reside close to the conduction band. Okay, the fifth valence electrons of the donor atoms, because the donor atoms will reside in this energy level. Okay, not in this valence band. Not in this valence band. This valence band will be the silicon, the valence electrons of the silicon will reside in this valence band. Valence electrons of silicon atoms will reside in this valence band, but the donor atoms will reside in this level. So by breaking, but the donor atoms can easily contribute the electrons, and the electrons will jump to the electrons will jump. I have made 9 electrons here. The electrons will jump easily from the donor level to the conduction band, because the donor level is the level where the donor atoms reside. It is the energy level of the donor atoms. So the donor atom will donate its fifth valence electron, and the fifth valence electron will be ready for conduction and will easily move to the conduction band. Okay. Now the valence band, in the valence band, due to break of covalent bond, one electron can jump from the can overcome this forbidden energy gap of 1.1 eV for silicon and 0.72 eV for germanium. One electron can overcome and come over here, thus creating a hole over here. So this electron is thermally excited electron. This electron is thermally excited electron. Whereas this 9 electrons that I have made has to overcome an energy gap of 0.01 eV for germanium and 0.05 eV for silicon. Okay, this is the energy gap that they have to overcome. This is the energy gap between the donor energy level, this is the donor level, and the conduction band. The donor atoms reside in this band and they easily donate the fifth valence electron which move to the conduction band and are available for conduction. Only one electron break the covalent bond and get thermally excited to move in the conduction band, thus creating a hole over here. So the number of holes is quite less than in the valence band is quite less than the number of electrons in the conduction band, thereby making electrons majority carriers and holes minority carriers in N-type semiconductor. Okay. Now P-type. Next we'll do P-type. Let us begin with P-type semiconductor. P-type semiconductor are those extrinsic semiconductor which are doped with atoms of group 3 elements. Group 3 elements like boron, aluminium, gallium, indium. Okay, we are taking aluminium, say it has an atomic number of 13, and you can see I have written its electronic configuration, and there are 3 valence electrons in its outermost third or outermost shell. Okay, in the outermost shell or third shell there are 3 valence electrons. Okay, similarly silicon has an atomic number of 14 and there are 4 valence electrons in its outermost shell. Now you see I have this aluminium atom, this is impurity atom, is by the process of doping it is inserted into the silicon crystal. Okay, so it replaces one silicon atom in the crystal. Okay, when aluminium is added to the silicon crystal, aluminium atom is added in the silicon crystal, it replaces one silicon atom in the crystal. Okay, now the 3 valence electrons, this 3 valence electron form covalent bond with the neighboring 3 silicon atoms. The 3 valence electron of aluminium is having 3 valence electron in the third or outermost shell, you can see. So the 3 valence electrons of aluminium form covalent bond with the neighboring 3 silicon atoms, but does not have any electron to offer to the 4th silicon atom. So the bond between the 4th silicon atom and the aluminium atom has a vacancy or hole. Okay. The bond between the 4th silicon atom and the aluminium atom, the 4th silicon atom and the aluminium atom has a vacancy or hole because aluminium has 3 valence electrons. The 3 valence electrons have formed covalent bond with the neighboring 3 silicon atoms, but the aluminium does not have any electron to offer to the 4th neighboring silicon atom, thereby creating a vacancy or hole. Okay. So the bond between silicon atom and the aluminium atom has a vacancy or hole. This is a hole. Now, since the neighborhood silicon atom in the lattice wants an electron, this neighborhood silicon atom, it wants an electron to complete the covalent bond with the aluminium. Okay. So what it will do, an electron in the outer orbit of an atom in the neighborhood may jump to fill this vacancy. An electron in the neighborhood, in the outer orbit of the neighborhood atom may jump to fill this vacancy, thus creating a hole at its own site. So the electron from here will go here. Okay. What I want to say is that the neighborhood silicon atom wants to form covalent bond with aluminium atom. So what it will do? So what is to be done? A covalent bond is broken from the neighborhood silicon atom, and from the outermost orbit an electron will jump to come over here. Okay, an electron will jump to come over here and form a covalent bond so that the aluminium atom can form a covalent bond with silicon atom. This electron in the outer orbit of the silicon atom will come over here, thus creating a hole at its own side. So a hole will be created, hole is going like this, and an electron will be forming over here. Okay, so this is the process. So here you can see the hole, the aluminium, the impurity atom is offering, or the impurity atom, the hole is available. What I'm trying to tell you is that the hole is available for conduction here. The impurity atom is offering hole as the charge carriers here for conduction. The impurity atom is the aluminium atom, and it is offering hole in the crystal which is available for conduction. So I can write here that the hole is available for conduction. Okay, hole is available for conduction. Now, the trivalent foreign atom, that is the aluminium atom. There is a trivalent foreign atom in the crystal. The aluminium atom becomes effectively negatively charged when it shares an electron, the fourth electron, with the neighboring silicon atom. Okay, when this electron from the neighboring silicon atom comes over here, and this aluminium atom forms a covalent bond with this neighboring silicon atom. Okay, understood? When the electron from here, from this silicon atom, outer orbit of this silicon atom comes and joins here, and the aluminium atom forms a covalent bond with this silicon atom, then this aluminium atom becomes a negatively charged ion. So for every hole created, one aluminium atom becomes a negatively charged ion. Okay, so dopant atom of p-type material, a p-type crystal or semiconductor may be treated as a core of negative charge along with an associated hole. Okay, or I may put it in simple words that for every hole created by the aluminium atom, not this hole, mind it, this hole is filled up by this electron, thus making aluminium atom negatively charged. There is an excess of electron in its orbit, thus making aluminium negatively charged. So negatively, this impurity foreign dopant atom become negatively charged ion for every hole created in the crystal lattice. Okay, I may write it down. For every hole created, or every hole created, created in the crystal lattice, the dopant atom of p-type semiconductor becomes negatively charged ion, becomes a negatively charged ion. So hole is a positive charge, you know, and the dopant ion is becoming negatively charged. So the crystal as a whole is remaining neutral. The crystal as a whole is remaining neutral. Okay, you can see that there are n number of aluminium atoms added to this crystal. Many aluminium atoms will be added to this crystal. Many holes will be generated. The holes are positively charged. So p-type means positive charge because there is an excess of holes in the crystal. Excess of holes in the crystal because every aluminium atom will create a hole. So there is an excess of holes in the crystal, thereby making p-type semiconductor. Okay, but the p-type semiconductor is because there is an excess of holes. Holes being positive charged does not mean that the semiconductor is positively charged. The semiconductor is uncharged because for every hole created, every positive charge, hole is a seat of positive charge, right? It is a vacancy, it is an absence of electron, means it is positive charge. So for every hole created, there is a negatively charged aluminium ion, thereby keeping the crystal neutral. Okay, I hope I have made myself clear. Now the impurity atoms are called acceptor atoms. acceptor atoms, because they can accept, because they create holes which accept electrons. They are called acceptor atoms. Why are these impurity atoms called acceptor atoms? This aluminium is called acceptor because they create hole which accept electron. They create hole which accept electron. Okay, acceptor atoms because they create holes which accept electrons. Okay, now NH, the number of holes per unit volume in the valence band. Okay, number of holes per unit volume is generated in two ways. One, by the acceptor atoms. Due to acceptor atoms, holes are generated in the valence band. Due to acceptor atoms. Okay, and another due intrinsically. Okay, intrinsically means by breaking of covalent bond at room temperature, an electron is made thermally, a thermally excited electron is generated, thereby creating a hole. I go back to the first diagram that I have made of an intrinsically means a covalent bond is broken, breaks down, and a thermally excited electron is generated, thereby creating a hole. Equal number of electrons and holes intrinsically means. So this is how a hole is created intrinsically, by breaking of covalent bond. Okay, but this is not due to breaking of covalent bond. This is due to acceptor atom. As many acceptor atoms will be there, that many number of holes will be there. Okay, that many number of holes will be generated, and this is intrinsically creating an equal number of electrons, an equal number of electrons in conduction band. Okay, thermally excited electrons. These electrons are thermally excited electrons. So NH, if 9 holes are created due to acceptor atoms, then one hole is created intrinsically by breaking of covalent bond, thus creating an equal number of electron in conduction band. Means one electron is created in the conduction band. So if 9 holes are created by acceptor atom, one hole is created by breaking of covalent bond, thereby creating one electron, generating one thermally excited electron in the conduction band. So NH is very, very greater than Ne. So holes are the majority charge carriers. I write over here. Holes are majority charge carriers in p-type, and electrons are minority charge carriers. Okay, holes are made. Now if I draw the energy band diagram, how will it look? This is the conduction band, this is the valence band. Okay, this is conduction band, this is valence band. This is the energy gap. How much is the energy gap? 1.1 eV for silicon, 0.72 eV for germanium. Okay, now in p-type, the acceptor level is above the valence band. Acceptor level means the level which contain acceptor atoms. What are acceptor atoms? Impurity atoms. Impurity atoms, right? Impurity atoms. Now, acceptor in p-type, the acceptor energy level is slightly above the valence band. Okay, energy level of the energy band of the valence band. Okay, valence band will have the energy band, not energy level, whereas the acceptor atoms will have the energy level. Why? Because acceptor atoms are quite less and they are far apart from each other. Okay, so there is no interaction between one acceptor atom and another, so that they can create a band. So this is the acceptor. These are discrete levels, acceptor level, and it is just above the valence band. With a small energy gap, how much is the energy gap? Same, 0.01 eV for germanium, 0.05 eV for silicon. Okay, so with a small energy supply, with this small supply of energy, electron from the valence band can easily jump into the acceptor energy level, thereby making the atoms negatively charged ions in the acceptor atoms negatively charged ions and creating holes in the valence band. So holes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 holes are created due to the acceptor atoms, which is in general 90% to 10%, 9:1. So 9 holes are created by if one acceptor atom I am adding to a crystal. It's not like one acceptor atom will be added to the crystal, n number of acceptor atoms can be added to the crystal. Okay. So if it is 1, then 9 holes are created in the valence band due to the acceptor atoms, and 1 hole is created due to thermally excited electron in the conduction band, which can overcome. Thermally excited means it can overcome this energy gap and get thermally excited to this. So what is, I once again repeat the energy level of the acceptor energy level. The acceptor energy level is just above the valence band, and it can accept. Acceptor atoms means what? It can accept the electrons. It can accept electrons. Okay, it has its fourth there in this. And this sharing, the fourth bond is free. There is a vacancy in the fourth bond. It cannot form the fourth bond, thereby having a hole over here. Okay, and since there is a hole and this silicon atom wants to form a covalent bond with this, the electron from this silicon atom, outermost orbit of this silicon atom, will come over here, thus forming a hole in its own place, and this will form a covalent bond, electron of aluminium and electron of silicon, thus making this aluminium negatively charged, because this aluminium is now having 4 electrons. So thus making this aluminium negatively charged. The acceptor atoms will accept electrons. It will create a hole, accept electrons, thus creating hole in the valence band. Okay, and thus becoming negatively charged ion. Thus becoming negatively charged ion. It will have a hole, it will accept an electron, thus becoming negatively charged ion, and thus creating a hole in the valence band. Thus creating a hole in the valence band, these atoms in the acceptor energy level will accept electrons and will become negatively charged ion. So I may write down, with small supply of energy, how much? Same 0.01 eV for germanium, 0.05 eV for silicon. The electrons from valence band will jump to level EA, acceptor level, and ionize the acceptor atoms. Thus creating hole in valence band. Okay, thus so these acceptor atoms will create holes in the valence band because they will accept electrons, thus creating holes in the valence band. And there is a thermally excited electron, you can see, creating a hole in the valence band. Okay, so then Ne is much less than NH. NH is much greater than Ne. Holes are the majority charge carriers, electrons are the minority charge carriers. Okay, that is it. Now that is all about extrinsic semiconductor. Thank you.